Okay, so everyone, thank you so much for being here. So tonight we have a special treat. We have my coach, Ashley Carey, which is going to do an amazing training for us on sales, because yes, we are in sales, and she's going to give us some really easy, tangible tips of some things that we can do in our business and our stories when we're presenting our products and the business opportunity. So grab your notebook, take some notes, buckle up, prepare to be wowed, and and just listen and take it all in. This is going to be available, like she said, afterwards, so that you can kind of go back and take some notes and do a refresher. So I'm going to mute myself. And if you have any questions or anything, she's going to leave some time afterward for some questions. And if you have if anything else that pops up afterwards, if you're not watching the replay, just let me know. So I'm going to mute myself.
All right, sounds great. Well, unlike most people, this is actually one of my favorite things to talk about. Like most people don't like talking about sales, don't like, even bringing up the word because they instantly feel like pushy or spammy or cringy, all the things. So, quickly introduce myself. Obviously, I know Kim very well and I feel honored and privileged that I get to work with her and I've seen her grow like exponentially over the last year in her business, which is just so amazing. And so much of that is all these sales skills that she has learned and and taken action on. Like she didn't just attend the trainings. And that's one thing if I can say to you today is don't just like listen to the training. Don't just, get the checklist. Don't just tick the box. Like actually implement the things and just give it a try. Cuz so often I find the biggest roadblock is us, right? Like the biggest roadblock, and you guys are here for mindset and mentorship. And so often we're so concerned about how other people might think or what other people might think or how it might make us feel. But really, I just encourage you to try some of the things and stick to it. Don't just try it like once or twice. Like actually, like I may sound a little funny on some things that I suggest, but I'm saying this with like 20 plus years of sales experience under my belt and like tens of thousands of dollars in training myself that I'm able to implement myself and have built two multiple six-figure businesses now using so much of what I'm going to share with you. So, and it doesn't have to be hard. Like that's one thing that if you could just know, trust and know that you're probably making it harder than it needs to be. Like I want to make this simple for you because we live in a time and an age where sales are happening every single day. People are still buying. The market is not saturated. There is more money circulating online than there ever has been. Like the industries are in the billions of dollars now that you're in, like health and wellness industry, affiliate marketing online, direct sales, coaching industry, like all of these industries are multiple billion-dollar industries. So don't fall into the trap that people aren't buying because they are. Like, and that's one thing that we think that the market could be saturated. It is not. So here we go. I thought about it and I thought, what are some of the most common things that people ask about? Like, what are the common roadblocks or objectives? And they're like, I don't know what to post, or like, I don't even know where to start, or what should I post to make a sale without feeling like I'm being pushy or salesy, right? And that's usually like when you're first getting started or you've been at it for a little while and you're like, this just feels awkward. I'm just going to, like Kim said, to start with, we are in sales. And so the number one way that I overcame that was like, I would just say, I don't want to be annoying. I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be salesy. And so if I was feeling that awkwardness or that tension with like a friend or a family member or somebody online, or I started to have a conversation about like greens that I loved or about a product that I loved, I would be like, look, I really love this, but I don't want to be that person and be pushy and sleazy, like I'm not going to do that, but I will tell you, like, I really love these products. So that's a really gentle way to just continue that conversation instead of letting your ego or your fear or your judgment pop in and be like, I'm just going to not say anything because I feel uncomfortable. And that is what happens so often in conversations that could potentially lead to a sale. And you're leaving so much sales on the table by simply just saying to that friend or to that person that's on the other line that maybe asks a question or, clicks your sticker box or whatever. Just say, you know what, I don't want to be annoying, but like, I'm going to be because I really love these greens. I just don't want you to think I'm like trying to sell you or push you into anything. I just really want you to know that I love these and I would never suggest them if I didn't think that they were like amazing. Okay. So that's one thing. Like, and I know that sounds super simple, but it works. Like it works because then you're just taking that edge off. You're like you're like nailing it. You're just like, I'm just gonna like squash that fear by simply addressing that fear and saying what it is. So that's a common objection. The next thing is like, okay, so what do I post? Right? Like, I don't know what to post. I don't know what to say. How do I start this? And I would say your story, and I know if you've learned anything from me or heard me talk about this at all, but your story is so powerful. People quite often are not buying a product from you, they're buying you. They're buying your trust. They're buying your story. They're buying a solution to their problems. And so the easiest way to convert your story to sales is simply by sharing it. And so this is where I like to look at your lifeline before the products, when you made the purchase of your products, and the results that you've created from your products. And I like to do it like this. I like, if you're a visual learner, I want you to draw an X on the paper, okay? And I want you to think about all of your symptoms, okay, that you had, and I want you to put them down at the bottom. Just think about some of the symptoms that you had, some of the problems that you were facing, and some of the ways that you were feeling frustrated. You can even just make this little like cliff notes, like irritated, angry, frustrated, like bloated, struggling with weight, whatever it might be. And then I want you to think about some of the results that you've created as a result of your product. Like, so for example, you guys mostly like all love your greens, right? So think of some of the results that those greens have given you, right? They have created, less bloating. They have like maybe cleared up your skin. They have, whatever those are for you. The key is you, not somebody else's story, not somebody else's experience, not what your upline is or sidelines are saying. Your story is impactful because your people will trust your story. If you're sharing other people's story, that's called a testimonial, and those are equally as impactful. But when you're thinking about your results, now in the middle, you probably were at a point, like see this point right here, this like middle point. I call it like the X marks the spot point. Um, you were probably at a crossroad of like, I don't want to feel like shit anymore. Like, I am tired of my own excuses. I am like never putting a bathing suit on again. Or my skin, like, I've got to figure out my skin. Like, this is embarrassing. I don't even want to go in public. Whatever it might be, like, everybody's story is unique. You had some like turning point moments, some like crossroad moments in your life that led to that point, right? And those are the pieces that your audience will resonate with because you don't want to push, pull, or drag anybody who is stuck in a victim mentality. Woe is me. I'm just going to feel like shit forever. Like, I don't have time to work out. You want the people who are facing some of those turning point crossroad moments, right? Like, I get it. And this is how you can speak to them directly through your stories, through your grid, through your captions, which we're going to talk just real briefly about that. But that key point here is think about the way you were feeling. Like you were willing to invest. You were like, I'm worth it. I'm tired of my own excuses. This is not some like that's why this indicator, this crossroad spot, that you were like, I'm ready to create those results. I'm committed. I'm like, I'm not quitting on myself. This was my last time not following through. I'm in a, like, you're, so how do we speak to that, right? But I want you to just do yourself this homework because once you do this, your content will become so much easier. Like sales become easier because you can resonate with the symptoms and the challenges that your ideal client is facing. This also helps you to become known for something in your industry, right? Like for you, you don't want to sound like everybody else. You don't want to, if you just are copying and pasting everybody else's stories and looking at them all, you're not going to stand out and you're not going to make more sales. The reason you will stand out is because of your authenticity. So back to my notes here. Your story, your authenticity, your uniqueness, they're the things that will actually make your content blow up. They're the things that will actually make your stories, your sales, all of them blow up. So instead of hiding behind blank, blah, blah, blah Canva slides and like sharing the generic imagery that your company releases, you get bold. You start saying the things that were really what made you buy the products. You start saying the reasons, like you start saying like I was tired of looking at my, what do they sell, like tire tummy or what, like what do they say, spare tire tummy, or like donut belly. I was tired of looking in the mirror and seeing a freaking donut belly, and I said no more, I'm ready. Like you're going to resonate with the woman who is like, I am so done looking at this donut belly, I'm ready to do something about it. And she's like, yes, that's me. Right? Doesn't that feel so much more real than a freaking boring old Canva slide? That's This isn't hard. We just make it hard by overthinking it. But if you start saying what you really want to say, people will hear you. They won't just skip, skip, skip. Like if you get on and you even just have your little notes and you say, you know what? I was thinking about some of the ways, I actually wrote them all down, that I was feeling before I started these greens. And I was feeling like shit, overweight, tired, irritated, hangry all the time. And I decided no more. I actually hit a crossroad. And then I said, I'm never looking in the mirror and feeling like shit about myself again. I bought the damn greens. The rest is history. Now I get up every morning. I don't press snooze on my alarm. I look forward to my greens. Like, how real is that story, right? So relatable, because there's women who are pressing snooze 5 times on their alarms because they don't have the energy to wake up. Like, they don't have the energy to get out of bed. They don't have the energy to work out. They're just running to their coffee pot first thing, right? And then they're in a vicious cycle. So maybe that's even you. Like I was in a vicious cycle of like hamster wheeling my life until I decided like no more. I'm done, right? Do you see how powerful your story is? Like this is why I say the more real you are, the more authentic you are, the more like vulnerable you are with your story. And I'm not saying you have to get on there and cry and like tell a sob story, because you want to attract empowered decision makers, right? Just like yourself. You are an empowered decision maker. You invested in yourself. You made the moves that you'd been putting off, right? You got into a crossroad in your life where you're like, I'm doing the damn workout. What's it going to take? Yeah. Did you have a question, Kim? Oh, your hand was up like that.
No, oh no, I'm just agreeing with you because it all makes so much sense. And but
Mm-hmm.
it's hard because we think like, oh, no
Yeah.
one's gonna like that.
But
And it took
yeah,
me a lot of guts to finally come around to it too, right? So it's yeah,
totally. Yeah,
yeah.
it is. And so the other thing I'm going to say just about this is really stop making it about yourselves. Like, I love you, but it's not about you, right? Like, if we take ourselves out of the sale, like, if we stop thinking about ourselves in the sale equation, all of a sudden it becomes a whole lot less difficult to make that sale. Because if you're detached from the outcome, then you are instantly more magnetic for people to trust you. Because you're like I'll tell you right now, I never cared if anybody bought my products from me. I literally did not care if they bought it from me. I cared that they got those products. Like I was like, I know they will change your life. I am so deeply convicted in what you will get out of them that like it's up to you, but I'm just gonna, if you say no, I'm just gonna keep going, right? So I would remove myself entirely from their decision. And I'm not saying there isn't ways to overcome objectives and like overcome, sales limits and all of that stuff. There is, but for this conversation right now, I want you to think of what you're doing as an opportunity to serve others, to be a bridge for others, to open up others to new possibilities that they're probably already looking for. If you use that language, they're looking for you. They're not, you don't have to go out and like hard sell people. They're already looking for solutions. They're already at that crossroad. When you speak to people at the crossroad, they're just looking for the click and buy button. They're not looking to be convinced. They are looking for, she's got what I trust her because she's honest. She's gone through what I've gone through. Where's the button? Like, how do I buy? Like, they don't need convincing. And I think so often we think we need to convince people to buy. but we don't. When they're already committed to themselves, and when you're speaking to people at where they've already made the decision that they're looking for somebody, the sales just get so much simpler. So now, what do you say? Like, how do you put this into content, right? Because I think that's what a lot of people struggle with is in your stories. I would make this very, you got to make this easy. So I would write out your story. Okay. Write out your story, how you felt before. I think Kim talked to you a little bit about this one, right? I want you to use that story now. Okay. You've written it out. Don't just write it out. You've got to write a caption. If you need help, use ChatGPT. If you need help, ask him. If you need help, you've got resources at your fingertips. Like, it is not hard. It's just doing it. Like, this is not hard. You know what's hard? Like heart surgery. Like, this is not rocket science. Like, this is not difficult. This is just maybe uncomfortable. This is not hard work. This is just different than you're used to. So write out that story. Ask for feedback from Kim. Ask for feedback from a friend if you can't do this yourself, right? Think about it and be honest. And now what you're going to do is you're going to use that story to come up with a couple story slides that you can use on repeat, okay? Because that's the thing is we actually want to be repeatable. We don't need to reinvent the wheel when it comes to social media content. You want to be known for your story, so your story needs to be told on repeat for people to get to know you, especially if you're increasing your visibility and being seen by more people, then they're seeing your story for the first time, right? They've never seen you before. They don't know your story. They need to see it like 7 times before they're like, oh yeah, that's that like stressed out pharmacist that teaches anti-meds and helps you to overcome, high cortisol levels, right? Like, I've seen her stuff before. Like, it takes time to build that. Plus, you end up training the algorithm to push out your story to the people who are looking for it by repeating yourself over and over again. So, when it comes to your story, you want to get hyper specific. You want to really think about the words that you're using and think about the words that your ideal client is likely using on a daily basis, because that's how she'll know you're talking to her, right? Like, she's the mom at the playground that's like, I am so freaking exhausted. Like, I don't even know how I'm going to make it to bedtime, right? Like, or she's the one that's like, oh my gosh, I skipped the gym again. I can't believe I keep saying I'm going to go and I never do it. Like, I've been saying I'm going to start Monday for like 6 months. And like, I am so tired of my own bullshit, right? Like, think about the things that she's actually saying. Like, oh, you guys, like, it's 3 o'clock. I haven't even eaten, right? Crap, I've eaten a pepperoni stick and 2 cups of coffee today. I'm like, this is not good. Like, or I've eaten chicken, like my kids' chicken scraps for food all day. And now here I am, like, famished and starving and angry and raging at my children by 4 o'clock, right? Use language she's going to resonate with, because then she's going to be like, oh my gosh, if that helped her with those things, like, that's me. Maybe it can actually help me. So, thinking about your story from the terms, you don't have to be fancy pants here. Like, so many people have to think they have to like have this perfectly curated terminology and verbiage so that they sound like super smart. No, you don't. You actually want a 12-year-old to be able to read your content, because people read so fast and lose interest so quickly that if a 12-year-old can't quickly read your content, then they're already scrolling past you. So make it as simple, specific, like real words that you actually use. Like, don't just like say what she says because you think it sounds cool. Use words that you would really use so that your audience doesn't think you sound like you're full of shit. Because that's what happens. Like, if you've got friends or family or people following you and you're using other people's stories or you're sharing other people's testimonials and you're using fancy pants words that you would never use, they're like, she is full of it. Like, she's only doing this to make money, which I know you're already thinking. Some people think that about you. So change it. Bite that bite that right there. I am doing this to make money. This is an incredible business opportunity. I felt like I'd be an idiot not to share the links because these products are so good, right? Face it. Like, face the fear head on. Like, combat it, because it'll isolate it. It'll obliterate that fear. And all of a sudden it won't be scary anymore because you're facing it head on. Like you're saying what they're thinking so that you no longer have to worry about it. Right? Does that make sense when I say that? Like if you're thinking that I'm just selling these products because I want to make sales, well, I am because these products are amazing. And when I got started, I felt like I'd be an idiot not to share them. Like how much better does that make you feel? Like it just like it takes that judgment right out of the equation. So, thinking about that on your stories, I want you to take that storyline that you've written out, take those problems, those symptoms, those challenges, those that deciding crossroad moment, and I want you to make a couple generic like story slides. Like a story slide is just either a plain black background or there's some pretty story slides that you can actually use that are filters in Instagram now. If you search like background, Kim could probably show you. I'll show her, and all you're going to say, like, where I was, you know, 65 days ago, whatever your total is. 6 months ago, I was feeling like 9 months ago, this was my life. You're going to paint a bit of a picture for them, and you're going to put a few of those symptoms that you were facing. And then you're going to say, and then I decided one day I was tired of my own crap. I was so tired of quitting on myself. I was like, I just, had my last sleepless night. I'm so ready to sleep. Whatever your story is. And you're going to say, and I invested in myself. I wasn't sure. I didn't know if they were going to work, but I was ready to make the change. I wanted to wake up with clear skin, better energy, no bloating, whatever the things are for you. And this is what I bought, right? Here's the link. Like, so if you have those stories pre-made, you can share those on rotation if you make a few of them, right? And I'm not saying you have to cover every single like bloating, skin, headaches, fatigue all in one. I would make one about each symptom that you were facing. Share like one day, share all about the bloating that you were, I tried on a pair of jeans and it felt like I was 6 months pregnant. I was like, this cannot be my life. Like I want to feel hot in my clothes, whatever it might be. Like I was tired of feeling like the flabby mom at the school. You got to use your own words here. Um, and then I was like, okay, well, they say these had a money back guarantee. I felt, like this is it. I'm gonna make the decision. I'm tired of quitting on myself. And these are the greens. And within blank number of days, I couldn't believe, how much better I felt. So there's one day that's leading into your greens, right? And then the next day, maybe you share a story about a friend that's purchased the greens. When she came to me, she was feeling blah, blah, blah. When she got started, it took her blah, blah, blah number of days until she felt this. This is the package she ordered. You like, but if you have a few of these story slides made, that's 3 story slides, guys. It's not hard. So you've got say you've got the 3 story slides. And now for each symptom, you've got like 5 days worth of stories that you could be using. So now you're like, okay, well, how many stories do I have to make in a day, right? A lot of people ask me this. I don't usually do more than like 3 to 10 slides in a day. Like I really don't ever do more than that. I never talk for more than 1 to 2 story slides because if you're talking for more than that, you're really losing your audience's attention. I would encourage you to never do a talking story without having captions on because people are going to read it rather than listen to you. I like to use visual hooks. So this is where you change your scenery. Like you're not always looking at the same thing or people get bored. Shoot from different angles in your house, go in your car. Like just don't always look the same on your stories. So that's where I would say start every day. Here's a bit of a story sequence for you because I know we're running on time, right? Um, yep. Is it good?
It starts giving me a countdown when there's 10 minutes left, but it hasn't
Oh,
happened
okay,
yet.
good. Okay, perfect. All right. Um, and do you have any questions so far?
No, I think this all just
Nope.
makes sense. I like even now when I listen to some of it, I'm like, I haven't been doing enough of that in my stories,
Hmm.
right? Because I
Yeah.
fall into that same trap, even though like I have you reverberating in my head all the time. I still do the same thing because I fall into my old patterns of
We
thinking
do.
nobody wants to hear that. But
So
it,
annoying. I know.
but
We
it's
create
so
our
much,
own. Yeah.
yeah, it's so much easier. Like I look at what I put on my stories this morning and it was kind of just a whole bunch of blah.
Yeah. Right. And we do this. We fall into old habits. Like old habits die hard. Old beliefs are hard to break, right? The only way we break this is by actually one, being called forward on it, being held in your potential, being held in what's possible, and then acting on it as often as possible is what's going to change the behaviors. Like subconscious beliefs are something that happen on such a deep level that we half the time don't even realize that we're doing it. And so having said that, like, to make things easy, so something that I usually do with most of my clients in the beginning is I want you to think of, like, what are the three main things that you like to talk about, right? Like, what are 3 to 5 if you have to come up with more, because some people are very multifaceted, but come up with the top 3 things that you're like, I want my page to be a representation of these 3 things, okay? 3 things, whether that's health, wealth, and habits, like, I don't care. You family, um, food, and friendship. Come up with 3 things that you really want your page to be known for, right? And then do not steer outside of those 3 lanes. Like, become known. This is something that is I've been really observing for the last couple of years, especially for those of you in network marketing. Okay, network marketing has dramatically changed in the last few years, and not in a bad way. It's just changing. It's different, right? And the reason that you're seeing this change is because the whole sales industry has changed. So a huge, huge advantage is to become known, not for your product, but for who you are. Building a personal brand is what will set you apart. So I'm so grateful that I've done this. I became known for someone who was really good at business, at sales, right? So even in my doTERRA business, that I was really good at the business side of things. I was really good at sales. I was really good at strategy, right? I became known. So when I started my own coaching business, I was already known for being really good at strategy and sales and business. And so tons of people from my past careers, from my network marketing world, hired me because they knew who I was. They didn't just know about the products that I sold, right? And so I want you to think about what you want to be known for. Because if you build a personal brand never dies, right? Your products are going to come with you. People are purchasing from you. They're purchasing on a feeling. They're not just purchasing products, they're purchasing from a person, which is way better, right? Like there's such a huge advantage to that because people are buying through trust. They're not just like, let's be honest, they could go onto Amazon and buy greens. They could go onto any website. They could go to Sephora and buy, all the makeup and hair and skincare that they wanted. But they're buying from you because they trust you, because you represent really great products. They believe you. And so this is where you build personal recognition. You start becoming known for somebody who is, super passionate about decreasing stress, using natural alternatives. I see the 10-minute timer came out
Okay.
now. So this is where you start to become known. So think about, it's time to stand out in your industry. You don't want to sound like Kim. Your sales will tank. If you start just sounding like Kim, it's not going to work for you. Like you want to sound like you. You want to become known as whomever you are, right? Like this is, if you're not thinking of your own uniqueness, like let other people tell you, because sometimes this can be hard. You're like, well, what's different about me, right? I want you to write down some characteristics that are different about you compared to everybody else. Like, why should they buy from you instead of Kim? Why should they buy from you instead of that big wig top at the top of Arbonne? Claim it. Like, actually be bold. When you purchase through me, I don't just sell products. Like, I care about your transformation. Like Kim is known for being extremely good with nurturing and following up and, making sure people are satisfied with their products, right? Like she's known for that. Think about what you want to be known for. Whether that's that you're incredible at follow through, you do what you say you're going to do, you are super consistent, like people can always trust you. Like think about what sets you apart, right? Because the truth is, building, like, all of you have the possibility to be building your own teams, building your own brand, building your own, like, recognition, right? And that's where I want you to look. Like, think bigger than just this moment and what you're selling. Think about who you want to be known for, known as, remembered as, because that vision is so magnetic. Like, and that is not only going to attract more sales, it's going to attract people who want to purchase from you, who want to partner with you, who want to run with you, who want to lead with you. Because the more you step into your leadership, the easier sales are. Because they're like, whoa, she's confident. Like, if you're sharing confidently conviction over your products, sales, like, they just come. And so think about the products that you're the most confident in, right? This is like, if you're trying to sell the protein and you don't actually really like it, like, stop trying to sell the protein. You know, if you don't use the skincare and you're on there sharing all about the skincare, you're not going to make sales. What products like light you up like a Christmas tree? What products are you like, I cannot wait for this order to come? Like me, there's certain oils that like I use every single day. Like there's certain things that I like, if I'm out, I'm like, the world has come to an end. Like think about, like, not even just like oils, like whatever the products are. Think about the product that you love and like get laser focused on that, because that's a product that's going to sell so easy for you. And try not to sell everything under the sun, like become known for those three things. And now what products complement those three things that you're known for? Like if you're known for talking about family stuff, like what are the products that complement you being a mom, right? If you're known for selling, or if you're known for fitness, like what are the products that help you in the fitness industry? If you work in healthcare, what are the products that help you in healthcare, right? Thinking about funneling through so that your content is like cohesive, so that it's making sense with what you're talking about. And you're not on there talking about, like, I can't think of something off the top of my head right now, like a product that you rarely use. Maybe, you've used it a couple times, it was all right. Focus on the ones you love and like go all in, like inch wide, mile deep, right? Instead of like the big span of trying to sell it all. The other stuff will funnel in, the other stuff will come. Like it does, it just will. So I'm just in case, and do you have any questions, Kim or Jessica, just before I keep going?
No, it's great.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to give you a basic story like sequence that I think you're good too, okay, Jessica. So I'm going to give you a basic story sequence that is really good for um, just knowing what to post, because like so many times we're just like, what do we post on our stories, like what do we post in our grid? Kim can give you some good ideas of what sequence to post into your grid, like whether you're posting povs or education or leadership. But once you know your story, you're pretty much like, you can tell your story 7,000 different ways through your content. So that I'm going to leave to Kim. But I'm going to talk to you just real quick about your stories, because they're where your warmest audience is watching you. They're following you and they're intrigued by what you're doing. You just need to like let them feel seen, let them feel understood. And once you're certain and convicted in it, the purchasing comes easy. So a way I like to start is on your first slide of the day. So once your stories have completely run out, at least once a week, let your stories completely run out for 24 hours. Like let them run out, leave some suspicion, leave some curiosity. Okay. Like that's just one strategy, because when you come back, start with one story, blank picture. Okay. Picture with maybe a quote, or a picture with maybe your to-do list for the day. That's, some behind the scenes of your life. Your stories are behind the scenes of your life. They're the real you. So once you do that, then you could either use like a story sequence or a testimonial of another client experience, but tell a little story that is leading into your product using 2 to 3 story slides. Okay. Like what I mean by that is like one story in the morning, leave it for a couple of hours, post 1 to 3 more story slides that are leading into a sale. Okay. Follow that up with a testimonial or a client win or a a result that somebody has gotten, or maybe somebody's purchased, could be a screenshot of somebody purchasing. That is social proof. Social proof is really good at helping you increase your sales because it thinks people think they're missing out on something, or people think that, well, other people are purchasing it from her, like there's other people that trust her. That social proof is like a really underused sales strategy that builds trust with your audience. And so following it up with that, and then as your last slide of the day, do something personal, right? Just a nice, like, pretty picture of yourself, getting ready for bed, or your tea at night, or just something personal that connects with your audience, right? Like the other day I was at the gym at like 7:30, it was 8:30 at night before I left the gym, but I shared I was proud of myself because I'm committed to working towards a 10K run. So super personal, nothing to do with my business, but actually everything to do with my business, because it shows I'm committed, I'm dedicated, I do hard things, I do what I say I'm going to do. I care about my health and wellness. Like, those are all very important, like, characteristics of me, like my moral compass in business. But it's just something personal and it's connected. People like it. They're going to come along for the journey. So ending your story with something like that. And so I would alternate that middle section in there where I said, like, share the story. Sometimes you're going to tell a story about a product. Sometimes you're going to tell a story about a symptom. Sometimes you can tell a story about a challenge, but just tell a story over a few slides. Sometimes that story can be you talking. Sometimes it can be a basic story slide. Sometimes it can be a combination of both, right? But give yourself like 2 to 3 story slides to talk about something important. Like, use those middle story slides to lead into a sale. If you're not using those story slides to lead into a sale, you are leaving so much money on the table. That middle section of your stories is so crucial. So I'm going to leave it with that because we've only got 1 minute left. And just, I hope that template kind of helps everybody. And I'm happy to like write it out for you so Kim could share it. But it's just an example of how to consistently sell on your stories simply. Like,
Yeah.
give yourself a format, give yourself a template to follow that is authentic, that is your own. Like, make sure you're sharing personal, a testimonial, or a client win, or social proof, and a story, and something personal, right? Like, that's it. That's a
Okay.
wrap.
I
Okay.
know it's but we just overcomplicate it. Wow, that was
Yeah.
like I've got 3 pages of notes.
Oh, I'm so glad. I hope it was super helpful for
It
all of
was.
you.
I'm gonna go back and listen to it because I'm gonna have the
Okay.
recording.
Okay. And if anybody has any questions, reach out to me. I'm
Yeah,
an
well,
open
thank you
book.
so much, Ashley, for taking
Yes.
up the time. I know you have busy with your 4 kids, and I know you don't work in the evening, so I really, really appreciate it pouring into my team like this
I'm
and
so
helping.
glad
And
to be
I
here.
can't wait for everyone to watch the recording.
Okay, awesome. All right. Let
Okay,
me know how it goes. I'm looking forward to
okay,
your feedback.
thanks.
Okay.
Okay,
Bye bye.
bye. I have to press leave here. Here we go.